You guys can remember the season finale of Daredevil, Season 2, Episode 13, A Cold Day in Hell's Kitchen, and I could not wait to finally watch this episode. I mean, I can't believe I'm already done with the show. I finished it a lot quicker than I even did with Jessica Jones. I mean, Jessica Jones, you guys knew it took me months to finish Jessica Jones, because I didn't feel like finishing it, it took a while, things like that. But this, I want to finish very quickly, and I did finish it very quickly. But I was a bit worried going into this finale. I definitely will say that. I mean, the quality's been so great that I was really thinking, is this going to be a satisfying finale? Am I going to like what happens this episode? Because I really didn't know what was going to happen. But I have to say, like I said, going into this, I thought this was going to be kind of a low-key finale, kind of just moving some pieces, showing where things are going to go. And while it was definitely that, it was a pretty big finale. There's one particular section of this episode I don't particularly love, which I'll get into. But other than that, really amazing finale. I really love this finale. I think it was better than last year's finale. Last year's finale was very predictable. We knew that Daredevil was going to bring Wilson to justice, and we knew what was going to happen from there. There really wasn't as many big things that happened in the last finale. The last finale was amazing, definitely, but this definitely was a step up from that. I definitely really, as this entire season's been, and I definitely love this episode. Not my favorite episode of the season, but still an amazing finale, and I think a really great way to end the season. Some of my favorite scenes, though, definitely in this episode, but let's just get into it, because there was a lot to get into, as usual, and I definitely have a lot to say. I know you guys want me to talk about the things you want me to talk about, and now that I'm finally caught up, you guys can stop, telling me you gotta finish Daredevil, which no one's really told me I need to finish Daredevil, but I've always felt like I need to stay in the loop, and I need to try to be as consistent as possible, because I don't want to fall behind, and, then have you guys not care, so I try to stay as consistent as possible. It took me 2 weeks, I'm very happy with that, but without a doubt, without further ado, let's just get into this episode, because there's a lot to get into. So we start right away, we see Nobu and Alaki, they're standing by the giant urn. She tells him it's ready, it should be needed, and tells him that there are 20 targets in New York. He says kill them all and kill Daredevil. Now, we don't know who these 20 targets are, but Daredevil is the one that stands in his way, because Daredevil's the one that's trying to stop him. He's trying to bring him to justice, and obviously he wants to stop him. And am I saying that Nobu is a more menacing figure than Wilson? No, definitely not a more menacing figure than Wilson, but I do think that Nobu is a very strong villain. Like, you definitely understand his motivation, and we get this really great scene with Stick and Matt. Stick is not dead. I don't know why I thought Stick died, but Stick is not dead. He is very much alive, and Matt is tending to him. And Matt still doesn't believe him about the hand's powers in spite of everything he's seen, because he talks to him about how it's not Elektra, it's the hand, and he sees this good in Elektra, and he wants her to see it. He wants her to see this good in her. She doesn't really see it, but he really thinks it's the hand, and that's really what's going on, that Elektra's just not purely evil. But Stick isn't so sure, and it makes sense, of course, because we know there's flashbacks where she killed that one guy, where she killed that boy when she was 11, and things like that. I mean, obviously, he's known her to always be kind of like this killer, and Matt kind of, I think, sees her that way, but also knows that there's some sort of good in her, and it's a really big step up from where he was in episode 5, wanting nothing to do with her, just thinking her of this terrible ex-girlfriend, and now I think really sympathizing with her, really understanding what she's going through, and I really like seeing that. So he goes up to the roof to talk to Elektra, and she's still questioning Destiny, and I think she's really questioning, whose side she's really on, because on one hand, she has stayed loyal to the hand and things like that, but she's also tried to take down the hand, but on the other hand, and I'm not talking about the hand and everything, I'm just saying on the other hand, she wants to stick by Matt. She loves Matt. That's who she's in love with. And she wants to do whatever she can to stick by him. She wants to be good, but she doesn't really know if she is good. And that's the thing. It's a very complex situation. He reassures that it has to all be Bull, and no one decides her fate but her. And I just like that he's trying to give her the best advice possible. He's saying, look, don't listen to me, what I say. Don't listen to what the hand says. Go with your gut. Do what you want to do. Who do you really want to be? Do you want to be a hero? Do you want to be a villain? He doesn't care what she is. He just wants her to make a choice, and I really like that. And she shouldn't have to, be influenced by anyone. She shouldn't have to be told by anyone what to do. She should be able to make her own decisions. That's exactly what Matt wants her to do. And basically, they decide together they're going to go after Nobu and demystify him to his cult, because that's the best thing to do. Nobu has taken way too much control of the hand. They need to bring him to justice, and that is how we start this episode. I love the way that started. Like I said, some really amazing scenes already off the bat, and I just thought it was really great, because we've had to have some great stuff with Élodie and Charlie Cox. We definitely got some very good stuff with them. But this really, I think, was the episode where we really saw them shine. We really saw their chemistry. And we really saw how close these two had become, which I definitely like seeing, and I thought was very well handled. So then we come back. We get this huge, crossover sort of, which I thought was really cool. We see Hogarth. Yes, Jerry is back in this episode. She's on Daredevil, and Foggy is now trying to get a job at where Hogarth works, but I can't remember exactly where she works, but basically she's interested because of what he was able to do with Frank and the whole case and things going on like that. And Foggy really does not realize what he's getting himself into. I mean, we know how ruthless, conniving, and just overall, stressful of a job working for Jerry Hogarth really is. And I don't really think he understands what it's going to be like working in this firm. And basically, he doesn't really know what's going to happen. He doesn't really know what this entails. And I like this scene, though, because you can see already that Hogarth and Foggy very much think differently. Like, they have very different ways of thinking of things. He's thinking of them as, not vigilantes, but just heroes who are stronger than other heroes, or rebellious heroes, I think is what he called them, something like that. But basically, she wants him to handle cases involving vigilantes, and that's kind of going to be his job now. But is this really the right thing for him? I mean, again, he doesn't really know what he's getting himself into. He doesn't know how tough this firm really is, and I'm already not necessarily worried for Foggy. I think he's going to be able to handle it. We know how strong he is, but this is going to be very stressful. He needs to realize this isn't going to be a fun job, and this does make me interested in, though, is Foggy possibly going to meet Jessica Jones next year? Because he's working at the same place Jessica Jones works. So are Jessica and him gonna meet? I mean, she's already met Claire, so I wouldn't be surprised if she meets Foggy or some other allies. And I definitely think this means that Daryl's gonna directly connect to Jessica Jones season 2. Definitely, I think that's gonna happen. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Foggy on Jessica Jones season 2. I don't know when season 2 is coming out. I'm thinking the end of the year, but definitely we're going to see that before we get to Defenders. Definitely that's going to happen. So I can't wait to see what happens with that. Very interested. Like I said, kind of worried for Foggy because, like I said, I don't really know if he's up to doing this kind of job. It's not really for him, but he's trying to get a job. He worked very hard at it, and I like seeing that. I like that he is trying to move on, which is kind of what everyone's doing this episode. Everyone's kind of moving on from Nelson and Murdoch because it's over. It's sad to see because we're so used to that aspect of the show with, Foggy and Matt handling cases and Karen being there as well. They had that great dynamic, but, everything that's great ends. That's just life. Every good thing ends at some point, and that's kind of what's happening here, is that the characters are moving on, and that was a big part of this episode, is that a lot of it was about the characters moving on, which I definitely love, which, by the way, this episode did take place on Christmas Eve, which I thought was interesting, but we see Karen is really having writer's block. She doesn't know how to write Frank's story, knowing he's alive, and also knowing who he really is. I mean, she's really in a tough position. I don't really think I talked about this in the last review, but you have to think that Karen's in this really awkward position right now, because she really doesn't know how to characterize Frank. I mean, the whole point of this, story has been to humanize Frank, make him look like a good guy, show what he's been through and everything. But now that he's killed the blacksmith, and she sees how much of a killer and how willing he is to kill that he is, she really doesn't know what to write about. She doesn't know if she's okay with what Frank is doing. She doesn't know if it's right what Frank is doing. She really doesn't know what's right, and I like seeing her go through this situation. I thought it was well done, and I definitely really enjoyed that. You can tell the problems that she's going through. I like seeing that, and I really like seeing the storyline with Karen having writer's block, because, yeah, that happens. You have writer's block sometimes, and that's exactly what happens with her here. She just sits down, and she doesn't know what to write. Now, the arc was supposed to be what it means to be a hero, but she just doesn't really know how to write this story. So Matt is taking Electra to his private tailor to get an armor suit like his. This scene was awesome. We see Melvin, who we've seen kind of, but we finally get what we want to see, because Melvin casually tells Matt, I've invented the Billy Club. I have a Billy Club for you. And if you guys know, one of Daredevil's signature looks is him with that Billy Club. And we finally get to see in this episode such a badass scene. I love the way it was done. I loved how low-key it was as well. Like, it didn't feel big. It was just Melvin saying, oh, I have this new thing for you. And the way that he can just extend the Billy Club, and then it turns into a blade. Just everything about that weapon is awesome. It very much reminds me of last season when they revealed the Daredevil costume. I mean, that was awesome as well. And just the way they've been doing that with having these reveals at the end of the season, it's a good thing to do because sometimes a reveal or something like that, the things we want to see, really is worthwhile. And we're like, I can't wait to see that in season 3. And that's exactly what's going to happen with Daredevil. Very slowly, he's starting to look like how he does in the comics. The same with Elektra. She gets an upgrade suit as well. And I like seeing that. I like the scene between Matt, Elektra, and Melvin. You see how much he cares about her. You see how he wants Elektra to help. And I also like the banter with Elektra. Like, Elektra was kind of feeling like the odd girl out. I thought that was pretty funny. Her saying, what do you have for me? I just really enjoyed that scene overall. Good stuff, and I definitely really enjoyed that. Honestly, really good stuff between, really good scene with Melvin. I definitely enjoyed that overall. I like the way that was done. So basically, Frank finally goes home, which we don't see Frank a ton in this episode, but I think that's okay because we just needed a couple scenes with him. But I do think this episode confirmed that Frank is still going to be on the show. And if he's not, he's going to be on his own Punisher show. This is not the last we've seen of John Bernthal as Frank, thank God, because he's so good as this character. He doesn't have any lines really in this episode. He has one line, but other than that, he doesn't really have many lines, and that's not the purpose of this episode. The purpose of him is to get over everything that's happened in Season 2. He finally goes back home, which you can understand is very hard for him to do. This is his home where his family was killed, and you have to think he's been away from there for a while. He reads about his suspected death. Everyone thinks that he's dead, and he pretty much fakes his death. He goes to his garage to make something as he listens to the police radio. Now, what he's making, we don't know, but he definitely is making something, and just the way that was done, I definitely really liked. Elektra's defeating Stick, telling them that their plan is going after Nobu, and Stick thinks that they're idiots, that there's no way they're going to be able to take down Nobu, that Nobu is just too powerful for them, and that he couldn't really even do it. He couldn't take down Nobu. Nobu and his men tortured him. How the hell are they going to be able to defeat him? And I understand what Stick is talking about, that he really doesn't think this is going to work, and yeah, it's not really going to work, I think, as well as they want it to. Obviously, they are very powerful, but, Nobu, we know, has this huge army, and they don't have that. That's the thing I love this episode, is that Daredevil and Elektra only have each other. They don't have a huge army, and that's something I think the show's done very well. On regular superhero shows, we'd have this huge army. Like on Arrow, we know he has that huge army now with like Black Canary and Speedy and Overwatch, all that kind of stuff. He has that huge army, and the Flash, of course, he doesn't. But on a show like Daredevil, you'd think he'd have this huge army. He doesn't, because he wants to do this alone. Elektra just agreed to help pretty much. She just wanted to help. And remember, he didn't tell her you need to help me. She just chose to go on his side. So Foggy then calls Matt, and I love Matt's ringtone for Foggy. I think it's just like, Foggy, Foggy, Foggy. I thought that was pretty funny. I enjoyed that, and it shows that Foggy and Matt are back on the same path. I like seeing that. He calls Matt to let him know some guys roughed up the Mahoney to get files on him, and we don't know why they've, hurt him or whatever, but obviously they're trying to get information on him, and Matt comes to talk to him, realizes Nobu is going to kidnap people he saved to lure him into a trap, and I thought that was a very smart plan. I mean, definitely, I really enjoyed that, and that's the thing. Nobu did not seem just, pointless in here. He seemed like a genuine threat to Matt, and they really handled this very well because of the fact that he's gonna try to, threaten a lot of people. He's gonna try to kidnap them to get Matt into this trap because he saved all these people. He obviously wants to save them, and that will just lure Matt to him. So he's basically using all these people as bait to get to Matt, which I thought was very interesting. I definitely really enjoyed that, and that's not really something that Wilson Fisk ever did. Wilson Fisk did a lot of things silently, a lot of silent planning, a lot of making deals, things like that. Remember how Wilson Fisk was last year? He was very quiet with those sort of things. Not necessarily quiet, I don't think that's the word, but he wasn't really, we didn't really know exactly what his motive was. We knew what his motive was, but we didn't exactly know what all his plans were. We didn't hear, he didn't, make, shout in front of the entire world, and him and Daredevil never really had as many confrontations as him and Nobu have had. Him and Nobu have much more history, and that's the thing I love here. And that's the thing I think the Season 2's done even progressively better than Season 1, is, as we know, season 1 was a very slow burn. Season 2's been very fast paced, and I've been fine with that. But it's been normally paced as well. I really don't have a problem with it being as slow paced as it was. But basically, we then see Karen and this gun seller. They're both on Nobu's kidnap bus. He jiggered his ankle bracelet, and Karen convinced him to turn it back on again after the captors kill an old man. They get to a warehouse, and cops show up, but are almost immediately killed. And one cop manages to call for backup before he dies. Now, I will admit, this is the only part of the episode I'm not a huge fan of. To me, I understand what, Nobu's plan was, but this seemed like it was just there to create suspense, and I gotta say, this was the one part of the episode I didn't love. I didn't love the way this was done. I just really wasn't into it at first, but basically, backup arrives, they set up a perimeter, and we see Matt and Electra, they're arriving on a nearby rooftop, and they briefly argue about what should be their primary goal, Nobu or the hostages, because, yeah, it is a hard situation. Should they go and just, take down Nobu, or should they try to rescue these hostages? The problem is, I think Matt's thinking, that's what Nobu wants. He wants them to go after the hostages because that's going to lure Matt to him. So in either way, they know they're going to have to face Nobu. And basically, Matt decides, because Matt's a good guy, he wants to save the hostages. They're the only choice, and he goes to free them. And Elektra eventually follows and helps. And I like that Elektra really is trying to be a good person. Like, she really is starting to see that goodness within her, and I like seeing that. And it didn't come across as cheesy. Like, it made sense why she is finally acting this way. Like, I think she's just understanding that she does have good in her, and that she does want to save people, and she doesn't want to be a villain, and I definitely like seeing that. And again, it's a very good development for her, because I thought that when we were introduced to Elektra, she was going to be this toxic character, and maybe she started out that way, but she definitely is starting to turn into more of a hero than I initially suspected, and I also really enjoy that. I like that they're doing that. So Karen and the hostages get out safely, while ninjas chase Matt and Elektra through the building, and Matt and Elektra decide to make a stay on the roof. We do get this really interesting scene, though, between Matt and Karen, because basically, we see Ninja with Karen captive, and the woman who told Nobu they had 20 targets in New York City is on the bus with Karen, Turk, and others who were held by Daredevil. And Tusk is under house arrest, so Karen tells him to turn his locator back on so police will be able to track them. And their death alerts Daredevil to location, but after Daredevil frees Karen and the others, she comes to the fight saying she got bored. At first, Elektra wasn't going to go ahead with the mission, which was interesting. But when Daredevil confronts Karen, she can kind of tell that there's something, that he's kind of familiar, that she kind of recognizes him, just the way he looks at her, the way he's kind of starting to get out of that facade that he usually is in, which I think is very interesting. You can definitely tell that I think she's starting to think that he's Daredevil, and I've always thought that she's thought that. I mean, just from season 1, I think she's always thought that he's Daredevil, but she hasn't seen Daredevil in a while, keep in mind. A lot of people said, oh, this was very unnecessary, but I like the way this was done, because keep in mind, like I said, she hasn't seen Daredevil in a while. The last time, I believe, being the beginning of this season, and since then, she has yet to see Daredevil in his true form. And the more she's been with Matt, the more she's thought about Matt, the more she's realized that I think she really does care about Matt, the more she's realizing that Daredevil and Matt have very similar virtues, and have very similar values, and have very similar voices, and very similar personalities, and that's just something I think she's noticing, which I think is very interesting, and I like the way they did that here. And they didn't make it a huge thing, but you can definitely tell as she's looking at, Daredevil, that she's like, I kind of recognize you. Maybe there's something, there's something familiar about you. So basically, I love the scene where Elektra decided to wait out the mission, but then she said that I got bored. I mean, that's just classic Elektra. I love the way that was done. Matt and Elektra decided to make a stay on the roof, joking about all the places they'll go visit if they survive, and it's a really good scene. You see Matt, he kind of takes off his Daredevil costume, he takes off the mask, and he tells Elektra that, Elektra's saying, there's no way we're gonna get out of this. I'm gonna die, we're both gonna die, that's how this is gonna end, and there's just no way. She's thinking that there's no way they can take down the Hand. Which, yeah, there really isn't a way. I mean, even though I think Matt wants there to be a way, in retrospect, this isn't gonna be the easiest thing to do. But I like what Matt tells her. He says, look, if we're going to get out of this, we're going to go wherever you want to go. We're going to go to all these places. And he's just trying to give her some confidence. I think Matt knows this isn't actually going to happen. But I think really the way this was done, I really enjoyed. Because Matt says he's only free with her. The one thing in this world that makes him more alive, the Black Sky and Devil of Hell's Kitchen. And he kind of wants her to be his sidekick. If you remember the beginning of the season, again, it's a big transition for Matt. Because at the beginning of the season, Matt said, I don't need a sidekick. And now he is offering her to be his sidekick. I don't think this was him saying, I want to be with you, I want to be, I want to go all these places with you. I think this is him kind of saying, I want you to be my sidekick. I always want to stand by you. You are the thing that will keep me safe. And I just love the way that was done. Definitely really great there. And again, I think Matt knows this isn't actually possible, but he's just trying to give her some confidence. He's trying to show her what's possible, and I definitely like that. Nobu tells him that they can't fight Destiny, which is the one thing that Matt did want Elektra to do. Elektra belongs to them, and Matt belongs on the ground, and the huge finale fight ensues, which this, I think, was just awesome. Not the best fight, just because of the fact that we've had hallway fights, and hallway into a staircase, and then an amazing thing with the prison. This wasn't as amazing a fight, but it still was very well done. I love the way it was done. It really did feel like the climax of the season, which I definitely really like. Elektra, basically, the huge fight ensues. We see that they're just going at it. It really is crazy. With Elektra, Daredevil, Nobu, and the ninjas in the hand, they're teaming up and giving it to Nobu, and it looks like they're gonna win and bring him to justice. Like, it looks like they're actually doing well here. But when Daredevil gets tripped up and suddenly becomes vulnerable, Nobu's sword is about to kill him, literally about to go right through him. Elektra intervenes, she takes the blade in order to save him, and Elektra dies. And I'm not surprised, but this was basically her one selfless act that she did. This was the first time that she died, and she's okay with it. She finally says she knows what it's like to be good. Matt tells her that it is always this painful as she breathes her last breath in his arms before she whispers, "This is not the end." And that is a very important line for the rest of the episode. But the way that was done, I just loved it. Because like I said, one, it's shown how far Matt and Elektra have come. It shows the fact that he is okay with her just dying in his arms and her taking his life for him, taking her life for him. He understands why she wanted to do that. And I really think that Elektra did that because she wanted to show that she is a hero and show that she does do good things and show that she can be, she does have this good in her that Matt saw in her. She just never really thought it was in her. She never thought she'd get to show it. And finally, in this one moment, even though she knows she's gonna die, she wants to show that she is gonna save Matt. And I love the way that was done. Amazing stuff. And I understand the hand just stood there, which some people complain about. I think it's a bit of a nitpick thing. I don't really think that's that's necessary. I think Nobu just, was like, let's let them have a moment, then we'll go back to fighting. He knew Elektra died. And the thing is, the hand really cared about Elektra. Like, they actually really did. I mean, they wanted Elektra. She was Black Sky, and her dying, obviously, they're quite upset about it. I mean, they're just standing there. Obviously, they don't have much of a reaction. But, again, this is a huge army full of, like, childlike zombies, and they're not very they're not very emotional because of that. So I like the way that was done. Amazing death for Elektra. And like I said, Élodie really killed it in this scene. And I really love the way this was done. Really amazing stuff there. And it just makes sense with Elektra dying. I didn't think Elektra was going to die. I really didn't. I didn't go into the season thinking Elektra was going to be the one to die. If anything, I thought Frank was going to die. I don't know why. I just felt like the Punisher had a good chance of dying. But Elektra dying, it makes sense. First of all, because they didn't kill off any major characters in the finale last season. It was kind of just like, they went through the mission, everything was fine, and here it shows that they are going to lose some along the way, and I think Matt knows that, and he's okay with, Elektra dying, because she finally proved what he always saw in her, and that is the lightness and the goodness that she actually has in her, and that's why he's happy. Obviously, he angrily goes after Nobu, who's pissed at what's going on, and Nobu's just leaving like a coward. He's telling his men to kill Matt. He doesn't even want to do it on his own, which is just so cowardly of him to do, but Frank appears on a nearby rooftop. He shoots any hand that tries to stop Matt from reaching Nobu, and I think he did this for two reasons. One, because obviously they are criminals and they're corrupting the street and everything, but two, I think he genuinely wants to save Matt. Like, he understands what Matt is doing. He understands why Matt, why Matt's is doing, trying to do a good thing, and I think Frank, even though in his eyes, this is obviously him being a criminal and everything, he is trying to do the right thing here. He basically gets a sniper rifle, he's gunning down his Daredevil's new billy club he got from Melvin, ties Nobu up, which this scene was just awesome. In the end, basically, Matt throws Nobu off the roof, and he goes to cry over Elektra's body as Frank leaves, and the question is, did Matt actually mean to kill Nobu? I mean, we know Matt said, "I'll never kill," but in this, scenario, did he finally kill Nobu because that was his one exception? The fact that he killed someone that he loved, which is clear that he is in love with Elektra. I don't think the love is like a love like we usually think it is. I think it's more if he loves the goodness in her. He sees this, he sees so many possibilities in her, and that's what he loves about her. The fact that she could be, this hero, and the fact that she does have is a lot more capable of things than she thinks she is. I really like seeing that. And the fact that he finally was able to defeat Nobu, I love the way that was done. But right away, Nobu wakes on the ground. He's not dead, and we know, of course, whenever you kill Nobu, he seems to regenerate, basically, because of the whole thing that the hand is doing, the way they're able to bring people back, basically, which, that's a question I've asked before, how they're able to do that. We kind of know now how they do that, which we find on this episode, kind of. But he wakes up on the ground, he's not dead, he stands up to leave, but Stick stabs him through the heart, then cuts off his head, and I love his line saying, stay dead. I thought that was an awesome line. I love the way that was done. Nobu has screwed Stick over too many times. Stick is not going to do this anymore. He's done with the hand. He's done with Nobu's antics. And even though the hand is continuing, Nobu's done with it. And it's not going to be as corrupted. It's probably going to be a lot different. I mean, the hand's obviously going to be very dangerous, but it's going to be a lot different. You definitely saw that. I love the way that was done. And I love that Stick finally was the one that got in the kill. I thought that was awesome. I definitely enjoyed that. And then we see Matt and Stick. They're at Elektra's funeral, and Matt says that he loves her and all the moments they spent together were worth it. And it's a really good scene. You understand, really what they're going through and things like that. I really enjoyed the way that that was done with Stick and Matt, just their bonding overall. You can see that they're back to bonding. They're, Matt's no longer against Stick. Matt now trusts Stick, which he wasn't trusting Stick before. Remember, when he found out that Stick was training Elektra, he really didn't trust him for a while. But this, I think, kind of regained his trust in Stick, shows that Stick is someone that he should trust and can trust, and I definitely like the way that was done. Really good stuff with Stick and Matt here, and it was great to see Stick again. I'm sure we're going to see him again next season. It was great to see him again. I'm hearing people say, though, that Stick might be the person that starts the Defenders, because if you remember, Stick says, oh, we got to reassemble the old gang back together, and that still hasn't happened. So is he referencing the Defenders there? I don't really know, but we didn't see an old gang, so we don't really know what that is, or, what's really going on there. So I think that's very interesting. And then we get the scene with Foggy and Karen. They're both sharing one last glass of swill at Josie's bar before Foggy, with his newfound income, finally clears their bar tap, and he's not going to be there. Now he's leaving, and it's a good scene. They're both catching up on what they're doing. Karen's happy for Foggy with what he's doing with Hogarth, and Foggy talks about Karen's book and everything, and kind of Matt, and everything pretty much they've been through. Foggy and Karen have really grown closer because they've done a lot of things without Matt. They now have this newfound friendship, which I really enjoy, and that's something I think they've done very well this season, is have interactions with characters they didn't have as much last season. Foggy and Karen, yeah, they had, stuff last season, but last season was a lot more like Foggy wanted to be with Karen. It was like a romantic thing, and this season it's a lot more platonic. It's a lot more of them working together, and it's a lot more of them reminiscing on what went right, what went wrong. It's a very nice scene. I definitely really enjoyed that. And basically, we see Karen. She's up late at night. Ellison asks her why she's there, because it's Christmas Eve and that she shouldn't be dwelling over this. But she's still got this writer's block. She's finally deciding what to write, and she doesn't really know what she wants to write about. But I like what Ellison tells her, that write about what you feel. Don't think you have to write something for everyone else. Do what's best for you. Things like that. I love the way that scene was done. Definitely really good. And we finally see what Karen writes. She decides to write about New Yorkers being survivors and heroes in their own right, and even though that they are doing these terrible things, they are a hero. If they're doing the right thing, they are a hero, and in many ways, Frank was a hero. We see Frank, he's pouring gasoline around his house, and he blows up his house, literally, but here's the most interesting part about it. He finds this CD, basically, because he smashes this picture of his days in the military, because obviously now he knows that means absolutely nothing to him, we see, which I thought was very interesting. I like the way that was done. We don't know what that's about, but, that picture is pretty much done to him because obviously the blacksmith, but he sees this CD and it's marked micro. He tucks it away in his pocket, and we don't know what's on this CD, but it clearly is very important to, Frank. We don't know what it is, but that's something I'm very interested in seeing, is what is on this CD, because clearly it's very important. We also see Matt, he's walking around the streets of Hell's Kitchen with a mysterious package in his hand. Frank walks away as the house bursts into flames as we see his body armor emblazoned with his famous skull logo and a machine gun strapped to his shoulder, and finally he has that iconic Punisher look we've been looking for, and I think it confirms that the Punisher is going to be on the show next season, and maybe he's going to be more dangerous, maybe he's not going to take as many chances, maybe he's going to kill more, maybe some of the stuff that people said we didn't get to see with him killing, we're going to see more of, and I definitely think we're going to see that next season. I can't wait to see how that plays out. Really good stuff, definitely really enjoyed that, and that is the last time we see of Frank in this season, but I'm sure, like I said, we are going to see him next season. season. And then we get something that was so worthwhile. I knew this was going to happen. I knew it was going to happen at some point. Time would have told when, and it was only a matter of time for this to happen, and finally it did. Matt is walking to meet Karen in the old office where Nelson and Murdoch used to be. Obviously Nelson and Murdoch is now disbanding, and Karen wonders what she's even doing meeting him there, because, she doesn't know why he's there, of Nelson and Murdoch of all places. And basically, Matt tells her he really wants to tell her something. He opens up his package, and he pulls out his Daredevil helmet. Karen now knows he's Daredevil, and I was just like, finally she knows. There's no more drama going on there. There's no more, oh, you can't tell Karen this because, we can't have that happen. There really was never that this season. There was never, oh, you can't tell Karen about this. You need to keep Karen out of the loop. There was never anything with that because she was so focused on Frank Castle, and there really was never anything where they had to keep secrets from her. There was never any drama there, and I'm happy they did that because now he feels like he's at a point where he can tell her he's Daredevil, and maybe things will be different for them now. Maybe he'll explain about the hand and things like that. But it makes sense because Karen was the only character on the show that didn't know he was Daredevil, that's a main character. It was time for her to learn. I love that we found that out. Really amazing stuff there and a great way to close out that. But it's not the ending of this episode. We return to the hand where we see the big black thing that Nobu was protecting the farm. The top is removed to open a tomb of the urn, basically. The top is removed to open a tomb of sorts. Elektra's dead body's inside, and we see the hand is going to resurrect Elektra's body, just like they did for Nobu, and we can only assume many others before her, and that's how the episode ends. And what a great finale. I definitely really enjoyed this finale. I thought this was a very well done finale. Like I said, I do think some of the Nobu stuff, like him, having that distraction, was a little long, definitely, but I definitely really love this episode. Amazing stuff overall. I am so happy that Matt finally told Karen that he's Daredevil. It's just such a relief now. I think she's relieved. And like I said, I think she's always kind of known just from the way he's looked at her, the way that Daredevil acts, the way that Matt acts is very similar in terms of the way they act. Definitely, I think she put things together. Like I said, Karen's very smart. She knows what she's doing. I like seeing that. I like her article as well. I thought that was a very powerful scene, and I definitely liked, hearing about that article. It got me a little bit teary-eyed. Not teary-eyed, but like it definitely was effective. I definitely enjoyed the way that that was done. Frank, we are definitely seeing Frank next season. If we don't see him next season, we are going to see him in a Punisher spinoff, but this is not the last we've seen of Frank Castle. What is that micro DVD? What is on it, and why is it so important? We'll have to see what's going on there. And like I said, I do think we're going to see more of a merciless Frank, which I'm definitely interested in seeing. Foggy and, now working at the same place that Jessica Jones works. Is this the best place for her? I mean, we don't really know. We don't really know if this is the best place for him to work. I mean, we don't know how he's going to, go with the, how he's going to, if he's going to get along with the workers, what their relationship's going to be like. We can't really judge this yet, and that's the thing. I've heard many people say that this is just not going to work, and that this is just them wanting to do a crossover, but we haven't seen really where this is going, and I'm going to say see where this is going. And I like that we end the season with everyone in different places. Matt is now fully the Daredevil, that's what he does full-time now. Karen is now is journalist, and she's going to be very successful at that now in Ben's position, and Foggy is still a lawyer. He's still a lawyer. What Matt's kind of doing besides being the Daredevil, we don't really know, but now he doesn't really have to hide from anyone, and that's the thing. He doesn't have to hide it from Karen, he doesn't have to hide it from Foggy, and I think that Karen and Matt are going to have this newfound trust in each other, which I'm really looking forward to seeing. But overall, guys, this season in general, it just tops season 1 in every way. I mean, I remember season 1. I really do. It was a great season. I definitely really loved it. Wilson Fisk was awesome. I'm surprised he wasn't in this episode. I was thinking we got to see Wilson Fisk, and he wasn't in this episode for whatever reason. I don't know why, but maybe because we had such a, big focus on him in episodes 9 and 10, that's why we didn't see him again here. But we didn't see him we didn't see him again. I was surprised about that, but we didn't see him, unfortunately. But like I said, I absolutely loved this season, just everything about it. It never stopped building, it never got boring, and I was into it the entire time. Season 1, I will admit, there were moments where I wasn't as into it. The last 3 episodes were a bit slow, and this season, I never think it slowed down. I think it was always interesting. I always was into it. I always was like, I can't wait to see how this goes, and Daredevil, without a doubt, is one of Netflix's best shows. It might be their best after this season. Just everything this show was capable of, what it did for superhero shows, without a doubt, the best superhero show on TV, and I mean, I think we can confirm that now. I've known that since last year, but such an amazing season, such an amazing improvement over the first one. I did not think they top it, but they definitely did, especially with establishing what was going on with Frank and Elektra. I really want to do a season 2 overview live stream, and I'd like to have some guests on there. I don't know who exactly, but I really do want to talk about season 2 in general, what really worked for me, because I reviewed each episode individually. You guys know what worked for me. I don't think there was an episode better than Pennies and Dimes. I don't really think there is. I still think that's the best episode of this entire show, but there were episodes that came very close to it. I love the way that episode was done, but everything about the season I absolutely love, guys. Amazing season overall. I can't wait for season 3. Let me know what you guys saw this entire season. I love to hear your thoughts on it. I am so happy that I finally finished it. I can't wait to see how season 3 goes. The cliffhangers we left on, I mean, just amazing stuff. I can't wait to see how that all works out. Let me know what you guys saw this season and this episode in general, and thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be either for Better Call Saul, because I'm gonna try to get that in. I don't know if I'll be able to before Flash, but either way, it will either be for Better Call Saul or Flash, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.